Welcome to MathomBooks. My name is Jeremy. We have an awesome conversation that's happening today. We sat down, Tezi and I, that is, sat down with Jeremy Cremer. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and we've all seen The Force Awakens. We just saw it yesterday, and we talked for quite a while about the film, our reactions, our reviews. We give it our ratings and our rankings. We are going to talk everything Star Wars. I'm going to tell you right now, we talk about a ton of spoilers. So if you have not seen the film, watch this with caution. This is primarily a video that's intended for people who have seen the film so that the spoilers aren't an issue. So it's a lot of fun. We hope that you enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Enjoy. Let me tell you this story, what happened this morning with Tezi and I. Okay, so it was actually quite a bummer, to be honest with you, for starters. So it's 9 a.m., okay? The film, I believe, is set to start at like 9:05, whatever, officially. The ticket's at 9:05.
Or whatever.
Whatever. Anyways, we walk in, okay? We've got food. We went to the grocery store and I had food. She had yogurt. We had our candy. We had our drinks. We were just ready to go, right? And we walk into the theater, and we were not late. We had a few minutes before the movie was supposed to start. And as you know, Jeremy, they always play previews, and mostly nowadays there's like commercials and stuff. So you got 20 minutes, you think, at least. Well, the lights are on in the theater. People are milling around. There's still half the audience is out at the concession stand getting their popcorn and stuff. So it's clearly right where the movie's not starting anytime soon, and we're kind of getting our stuff set up. And all of a sudden, you look up on the screen, and you see the Lucasfilm LTD kind of blurry, but then it kind of came into focus. And I look at Tezi, I go, I forget what I said.
You're like, why is that up there?
I'm like, why is that up there? I go, that's weird, because there was no sound or anything.
Well, there was like this background music playing.
Well, because it was
from nothing.
The theater music.
Yeah, the theater.
It was like your just regular theater music, right? And then Jeremy, I kid you not, all of a sudden, the famous blue writing a long time ago in a galaxy far, and we're like, wait a second, what's going on here? Long story short, they started the film by accident with no sound.
Of course,
the lights were on in the theater, and people started flipping out. I actually have a small video of it. I'll probably add it to this video, so you'll get to see that. So this happened because this is kind of crazy.
Maybe that's how it was supposed to happen.
No, this is not how it's supposed to happen. This is exactly not how it's supposed to happen. So we're about. Someone started the movie without sound, and nothing was right. So we'll see what happens. Just kind of pretend you're not seeing anything right now.
I really hope they restart it because I didn't read it.
I know. This is ridiculous.
Stop.
But people started yelling. They're like, "Turn it off! Turn it off!" and don't start the movie. And Tezi and I were both like, okay, let's just focus on each other. She's like
eating.
Yeah, she's like, tell me about your food, Jeremy, because the movie was on. The movie was on, and this humongous screen right in front of us with no sound. So we're like trying not to look at it. We're looking sideways and stuff.
Blocking it out.
Yeah, exactly. But it was frustrating. Finally, maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes?
At least.
About 5, 6, 7 minutes. They turned it off. People were getting up and leaving and going to talk to the manager. I was joking around. I'm like, man, they're going to have a mutiny on their hands, if they don't fix this. So that was our little adventure for the beginning of it. It was a little bit unfortunate because it kind of took away that initial feeling, because once they did really start it, killed the lights and did it all properly.
Yeah.
After the previews, we were like, we just saw these first 5 minutes 5 minutes ago. So that was a little bit of a bummer.
Because I think my favorite part was the beginning when it's on Jakku, and I keep forgetting her name.
Ray.
The names are so short. That's why I think I keep forgetting.
We talked about the same thing. We had that same conversation, Jeremy, like an hour ago. Yeah. Ray, Finn, Kylo, Poe.
Oh yeah, Poe. I keep forgetting that. Yeah. I liked the scenes with her.
I did
particularly
too.
like the part when she's like she's giving the parts to that guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is worth a quarter portion." I was like, that feels, that feels good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not because it feels like Star Wars. I mean, it already feels like Star Wars, but like the pacing of it, I liked. That's the kind of stuff I'm into. I liked all the moments that weren't so, boom, boom, bang, bang.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's cool and stuff like that, but I don't think that I just think that you need some space to breathe in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like the pacings at the very beginning. If that answers it.
Well, no,
that kind of surprised me.
For sure, and you touched on some great points. I too liked that pacing. I think I'm similar to you in that sense that I like a film that's not afraid to take its time. To use a contrast film is the most recent Avengers film. Okay, that film to me felt like they had to have a crazy battle sequence every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so no matter what was going on, you're going to see some crazy CGI that would go on too long every 5 minutes. And I was just like, it was stupid. I was just like bombarded with it. So I didn't like that film. Whereas The Force Awakens, that whole opening sequence with Rey, I totally agree. I liked her right off the bat. Like, she was cool. I thought she fits the part perfectly. Like, I think she's very well cast. And just those slow moments, her kind of how she spends her day, and even loading up the metal things on the side of that really cool cruiser that she drives. And
I like that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, you got that sense that she was alone, but you wonder why. Why would she be by herself? Which is obviously still kind of an unanswered question, but.
Some of the stuff from the Marvel movie that you were talking about, I think, does eventually manifest itself, though, in the movie, for sure.
A little bit. Right.
Yeah, I think if I was going to be really surprised by it, I think there would have been more pacings like that, because I'm going into it, I already know it's a Star Wars movie, so of course there's going to be, like, family connections, and of course there's going to be explosions, and of course there's going to be a bad guy that's dark and wears a mask, and of course there's that, blah, blah, blah. Surprised me if they made it like very quiet and did something different, continued kind of what they had in the first beginning part. Also, I just because I'm thinking of it, the part when and I was thinking of you whenever I saw this part, because I was wondering if you felt the same thing. But the part when Poe he's getting the map from the guy at the beginning, and the Empire, or the World Order, or whatever.
First Order.
They show up and they kick him. They kill everybody.
Right.
The part where he's like, Kylo Ren like got him down on his knees and he's like, so am I supposed to talk, or are you supposed to talk? He makes that joke. I was like, oh no, what? Right. Like, I don't know about you, but like my heart kind of like sank for a minute. I was like, oh, that's such to me it was a stupid joke, and I was like, I hope they don't do any more. That was like the first of me thinking like, oh, I hope they don't do these type of like, you mentioned it earlier, like Marvel-esque kind of stupid jokes. I was like, don't do that. But it's whatever.
No, Jeremy, you touch on a point that I did want to bring up here, and I guess we can just get right into that now. We'll maybe do the cons first. The film was not perfect. The film was far from perfect, and my misgivings with the film coincide directly with what you just said. I didn't like that line either, and I said this to Tezi today. There was that section right in the middle. It was in the body of the film where there's a lot of action stuff going on, all the stuff with Han and the aliens and all that stuff, and they had all these one-liners. They kept giving a one-liner here. Everything had a kind of a semi-comedic little quip, and I was like, okay, I get it. I'm just over that. A little bit is okay, because a little bit, if you do watch the original trilogy, there is a little bit of that. Han Solo has an attitude, so does Princess Leia, and they kind of let that come out. But I felt like J.J. Abrams, here was the line for me. He was right here. I don't think he crossed the line. I was still with him, but for me, he did. He got close. And for me, Jeremy, what saved it from crossing that line is how the film ended. I felt that the ending was sober enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this will surprise you or not, but I was actually choked up in the film and brought to tears on a number of occasions, including the very ending, which we won't say it right away. We can maybe save it. We'll let people know that there's spoilers coming later. But does that make sense? I'm curious. I want to hear Tez talk on it. How do you feel in terms of what we're talking about?
I guess I agree a little bit. There were kind of a lot of them, but like I laugh at those lines and stuff, and I kind of enjoy them. And I think I'm less critical of movies in general, especially Star Wars, because I don't know. Because when I first saw it, like I was little and stuff, and didn't see it for a long time after that. So I'm kind of like less attached to the original trilogy in the same way that you are.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like being critical about movies either, but I find that most of the things that I find that bother me aren't really things that other people are bothered by, like the jokes and stuff like that. Everyone else in the theater was like, they lost it, but I was the only one just like, that didn't need to be there,
Right.
Yeah.
The Marvel stuff, which not to, whatever.
Pick on Marvel.
Yeah, but I mean, they kind of do the whole, like you were talking about one-liners. They do a lot of the whole like whoa factor. Like the whole scene is just, it's like I feel like stuff would have flown a lot better if, because I was enjoying a lot of the film, and then there was these parts where it would stop and it would be quiet, and you could tell they were just, someone would say something and everyone would be like, oh yeah, that was a great line, and like, oh, he's so funny, and
right.
And I'd be like, that's not what it used to be about,
Right,
but whatever.
Right. I think where I stand on this, Jeremy, is kind of interesting. Is I think I'm right in the middle between you and Tezi, because I did like smile and laugh at some of the lines. Like I was having fun, if you will, and I allowed myself to have that fun with some of those jokes, even some of the one-liners. And that kind of sides, I'm in the middle between you and Tezi. With you, I was also very much, my meter, was as it was getting closer to the red, I was starting to be like, okay, please, pull it, bring it back in, JJ, bring us back to the sober stuff, bring us back to the serious story. And I think
which he did a few times.
Which he did. He did, exactly.
A few times, I think.
Right. I think so. I believe he did.
And that surprised me. Because
it's funny, actually, Jeremy. I'm just going to give you a heads up. I'm going to ask you, just so you can kind of be cogitating in the back of your head as we talk. At the end of this talk, I want to, don't say it now, because I'll ask all of us. I want each of us to give the film a rating, whether, maybe we'll do a B, C, D, F, type rating.
Okay.
So be thinking about, even with minuses, A minus, B minus, C plus, whatever. So you just kind of be having that in your head as we talk. But I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Rank them in as far as the series, like where we put each one.
That's a good idea. I love it. So yeah, let's do that at the end.
Cool.
Did I cut you off, Jeremy? Were you going to say something else about the stuff we were talking about, the one-liners and that kind of thing? Because if not, I want to take us to the next part of this.
Go ahead, yeah.
So it's tied to this. Again, kind of on this theme right now, if you will, of the film wasn't perfect. There were some hang-ups, some downsides. One of them we just talked about were kind of those one-liners, the little quips, the forced comedy, if you will.
Mhm.
For me, a second one, and I want your guys' feedback on this, was that whole sequence with the strange alien monsters that Han Solo evidently was smuggling,
I
and they had
completely
that.
forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, that because it was a forgettable scene. That to me, don't hold me on this, but I'm going to say it right now. That to me was my least favorite part of the entire film. It felt the least Star Wars to me. I felt it was the most George Lucas, i.e., prequels with kind of the CGI didn't look even real to me.
Mhm.
Case in point, when the Millennium Falcon, when its mouth was stuck on the front of the Millennium Falcon, I was just literally, I was just kind of like, oh no, oh no,
Really?
you
Yeah.
know.
That part?
So, so that part really, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was
Mhm.
interesting. I knew nobody was gonna die. You know, no one's gonna die to some weird CGI alien we've
Oh,
never
okay.
seen
So
before.
it was kind of predictable.
It was predictable and silly, and so for me, that was the lowest point that
Okay.
of the film. I wanted your thoughts, and then I want Tezzy's thoughts.
Um, I guess that part I was kind of like, to be honest, I was kind of hoping that there would mean more in that scene, than it turned out to be. I was like, okay, well maybe there's more to this, but no, it reminded me of kind of like the best thing I can compare it to is like a video game when you're doing levels
Yeah.
and you feel like, man, this level is just there's no reason to have this level. It's just, why do I need to do this? Let's get
Hmm.
on to the next thing. That's
Yeah.
kind of what it felt like.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, I liked just having more time with Han,
Yeah.
um, because I was hoping to get some scenes, which he did, some scenes that weren't like the kind of one-liners that they do in a lot of movies nowadays. I was hoping maybe we could get like maybe a little slice of old Han, and maybe have him do some funny stuff that's a little bit more natural than that kind of crap, you know,
Yeah. Hmm.
like the stop everything and it's all quiet and it's going to be a joke. I don't know how else to explain that, but
Right. Right. Right.
I guess there's some that scene. I guess the only thing I can take away from it was like the scenes with him and Han where he's and the guys that he owes money to or something like that. That was kind of like classic Han. But I think
Yeah. That was good stuff. That was good
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
that's what
And
I got.
right. Right.
Yeah, I definitely like that part. With Han and his like going back and forth
Yeah.
between the people that he owed money to.
Right.
What was I gonna say? Oh, the alien things. Like now that you say that, I guess it's true. Like no one would actually die to the alien. None of the good guys. Like that'd be a pretty lame way to die in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't think of that. Like, and I felt like it was like, nah, intense
Oh, really?
enough or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
A little bit. But yeah, I don't really know that I felt like it like needs to be there. Except if it wasn't there, I don't know how Han would have gotten out of that with those two bands of like smugglers or whatever.
See, I'm glad you asked that because I have some thoughts on this. Um, to me, because here we are. If you remember, this is when we're introduced to Han Solo for the first time in the film, right? It's a big deal. He's with Chewie, and it's obvious. We find out pretty quickly he's not with Leia. It's all big.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been smuggling something important to the story. So, it doesn't have to be directly tied to the story. It doesn't have to be in line with the plot, but something meaningful, as opposed to some crazy alien that no one knows about or ever's ever going to know about or see ever again. You know what I mean?
Why was he doing that?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
He could have been smuggling artifacts or from the old film. You know what I mean? Something from that era. Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't
that'd be
know.
cool.
Something more meaningful.
Jones territory.
Yeah, seriously. Here's the two ways I think Abrams could have done that scene. He went the one way. Here's the way I wish he would have done. There was that one moment when Finn asks, "What are these aliens? You're smuggling?" And then that eyeball sticks up against the window, and Han goes, "There's one," right? If he had stopped there,
Yeah.
I would have been okay with that. Okay, fine, big scary monsters. You're smuggling those. cool, right? We got to wonder how these monsters get to some of these people like Jabba the Hutt, right? How did Jabba get the Rancor, right? Someone's got to smuggle them. I get it. That's cool. But then taking it all the where it went, I'm sorry, I'm belaboring this point. I'm going to stop now. But that is what I wish J.J. Abrams would have done, and done, Jeremy, what I think you want, which is give a story. Instead of that battle sequence, let's just talk to Han. Let's find out what's Han been doing and what's Chewie been doing all this time, and tell it maybe through what he's been smuggling. You can imagine that. Imagine they found what he was smuggling while they were down there, and it has something more serious, and Han is talking about it to give us more of his backstory. That would have been fascinating. I would have loved it. Now,
the main character is hiding under the floor, so it's not like they did anything. I don't know. What did they? I don't really remember the scene at all, other than the fact that they were hiding underneath the floor and then they were closing off the doors.
Yeah, they were like trying to close the doors to close the what did it even call it? The other groups of people out.
Like the mobsters or whatever, whoever they were.
See it again. I'm gonna go back and see it eventually.
Yeah.
We want to see it soon. We actually talked to Jeremy about seeing it tonight, believe it or not. Yeah. I don't know if we will or not, but we'd like to. I want to see it soon. Because when her and I were talking after the film, she was like, "Oh, well, so and so said this," and I was like, "Oh, I kind of missed that line," or I said a couple of things where she was like, "Oh, I didn't hear that." You know how it is.
It's cool to talk about it for like a good day or two, and then go back to it, and then you remember all the things that you talked about, and you're like, "Oh, I kind of see that. Maybe that means something, and maybe that scene will mean more whenever you watch it."
Maybe so. Maybe I hope it does, Jeremy. I just don't necessarily think it will. Okay, so let me try to keep us on track here a little bit. Okay, so we're talking a little bit about cons. I talked about what for me was the lowest point. Now I guess I'd like to hear from you guys. Jeremy, we'll start with you. Actually, let's start with Tez, just to change up a bit. I know you like the film. You know, there's no secret. That's fine. You don't have to like find something you didn't like. But in general, just generally speaking, what part of the film was least enjoyable to you, or did you ever feel where you were kind of like or something of that sort?
I mean, not really, unless you just want to talk about a part that kind of like that I wasn't happy about.
No, that's
like,
different. Let's not talk about that yet.
Okay.
Theater next time in the same mind frame that she is. That way we're not disappointed.
I know we'd enjoy a lot more films. I think that's true.
Things, you know. But why is that? Why do we do that?
Jeremy, I think it's the way you and I are built. I think we respond to a more sober, serious, kind of heavy side of life, I think. Is the way I would explain it. Tezi's she's happy. Not that we're not happy. She likes the light side of life. Like she's very pleased by cute, fun, happy things. Like it makes her happy. Whereas me, my reaction to that stuff is generally that's corny. You know, and I don't know. I think you feel kind of the same way. That's my thoughts on that. I don't know. Tez, you want to speak to that at all? We put her on the spot here.
Well, she was talking and I interrupted, so.
No, it's okay. But I don't know. I guess that is kind of true. I do enjoy like cutesy, fun, happy things, but in general, like you're a really happy person, like a positive person, and I feel like maybe I enjoy those things because I don't know, maybe.
I remember whenever I saw like, because I'm trying to think of a time that I would do that the way that you do it. I mean, whenever I was younger, like whenever I went into, well, I mean, I guess Spider-Man I never knew anything about, and then whenever I saw it, I really liked it, and I didn't know anything about Spider-Man, you know, nothing previous, no comic books or anything like that, and then I found out later that everyone hated them. I was like, oh, I didn't think of it. The influence of it being bad didn't really come to me. I went in there without critically thinking and just expecting it to be like, well, You know, I'm assuming it's an action. You know, because I know Spider-Man's a superhero, so
Right.
it's action and stuff like that. But I kind of liked it. I came out of it, and I realized then that there was like a deeper thing. You know,
Sure.
so I'm sure there's going to be a handful of people that go into this and they're like, this was a really good movie, but then they're going to find out that it's a lot deeper than that. You know.
Sure. It's a lot deeper than just an action movie, you know, with some cool special effects. See, that's very much so how I felt about episode 1 with all the Jar Jar stuff, because some people like that movie, you know, not many according to the stats and stuff, but some people liked it, and I'm not that kind of person, you know. I don't like it's why, Jeremy, I hated the Hobbit films. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't like the Hobbit films either.
Yeah, see, that's true. Tezi
Yeah.
didn't like the Hobbit films either, actually.
Yeah.
Because they're just, I don't know what it is. If something's poorly written, it's poorly written. You know, if something's kind of plotless and meaningless and silly, you know, in a simplistic sense, I don't know who would like it, you know, other than those people that just like to kind of eat popcorn and watch whatever is thrown their way, and they're like, oh, that was a good time. I had a good time eating my popcorn. You know what I mean?
Because like about the Hobbit, like I know some people who thought it was like good just as a movie, just because it was like entertaining and fun or whatever. Some people thought it was good as a movie.
Right.
Like, and I could kind of see that, but like I didn't like it because it didn't feel like Lord of the Rings and it didn't feel like Tolkien. You know?
Exactly.
Well, the book is going to be something. The book is going to be something that they're going to be critical about too, because I remember watching all the Lord of the Rings films, and really loving all of them when they came out each year. And someone I know just hated them and hated the fact that we were seeing them because they thought it went against the book or something like that. And I'm not even on that level, you know, so I can't complain about that.
Kind of like a purist, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-called. Yeah, I know, I hear you. Okay, so Tezi, basically your answer is you really didn't have a part that you just didn't care for. You kind of liked the whole film.
Mostly, yeah. And like I was saying, like I mostly like all the like funny lines and stuff, but like kind of disclaimer, the one first line where he's on his knees and he's like, "You dog first, I dog first," like I did kind of laugh at that, but I also was kind of thinking, it's like not really.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It didn't feel like Star Wars.
Right. It's not. It didn't really feel like Star Wars.
Yeah.
I agree.
So Jeremy, now you're on the spot. What for you was your bottom? Where were you least satisfied in this film?
I mean, I think as those sort of things happened, I kind of just accepted them as they went along and kind of noted them down as things that I didn't really like a whole lot. So I don't think that I can say there was a real point where it was like it felt. 'Cause, I mean, also at the same time, whenever I'm watching a new movie, I feel kind of distracted most of the time with myself because I'm trying not to be super critical about it.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of movies over the past couple of years. I mean, I'll just put it this way: it's been a long time since I've been able to just like watch a movie and really just not think about those sort of things, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a low part. I guess overall, though, there's a lot of things that I would have liked differently, but I would have liked those things differently in movies that have been going on for the past couple of years. Like
Sure. Go for it. Keep going.
Cameras, the way that the camera's set up. I actually wrote something down because I've talked about this a lot and I've never really had like a good way of saying it. You know, me with speaking, sometimes I can't say what I'm saying, but I did write this down because a lot of the movie is like bang, bang, boom, and like all over the place and stuff like that, and the camera going everywhere.
Right.
But I always feel like it's better when the camera's at like a realistic viewpoint. The actual the camera angle.
Yeah.
Not when it's spinning around or rocket zooming into someone's face when there's like a dialogue scene, you know.
Right.
For some reason that always pulls me out of the movie, and I don't really buy what's going on when the camera's doing this.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives me this impression like it almost feels like there's no control and I'm playing a video game. Because I know all the fight scenes with Luke and Vader, you watch them and it's more like a realistic view. I don't know if it's done any other way, like if it's out of control and it just feels like a video game, it pulls me out. of the movie immediately. That's just how I am.